This would be surprising to a lot of people, but I think the stricter stance that insurance companies are taking towards roof claims, um, that does excite me just because I know it's been such a game for a long time for a lot of storm chasers to try and get roofs bought with such minimal damage, and it doesn't really need to be, pushed. And so it's kind of dug us into a big hole where insurance companies are going bankrupt and a lot of them are closing out and not insuring properties. So the fact that insurance companies are taking a stricter stance, it's going to weed out a lot of these other contractors that are just in it to try and push roof replacements when they don't need to.
Welcome to the Roll Up and Roll Out podcast. Sit down with blue-collar business owners and inspired entrepreneurs to get the industry insights from the leaders that grow our local communities and learn how to scale your business. Regardless of GED, these people know how to GSD. Here is your host, Paul Childers. Let's get to work.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Roll Up and Roll Out. My name is Paul Childers. I'm the host, and we are always focusing on blue-collar business owners who have their GSD degree. And today I've got Justin Persinger on, and I'm going to let Justin introduce himself and his company, and give us just a brief background of what you do and who you are.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I'm Justin Persinger with the Expert Co., where we focus on premium metal roofs and other premium roofing installations. And I guess the background of the business is been involved in remodel work and custom woodworking since 2009, and got involved with exterior restoration work in 2012, and then was doing both the interior and exterior since then. And then just found that I really enjoyed being on top of roofs and inspecting roofs, inspecting homes. And I just really enjoyed the exterior restoration side of things, and started to move more towards that way, and eventually got my own general contractor license in 2020, and been running the Expert Co. since then.
So just what shifted you towards enjoying being on the roofs? Like, there's got to be something about that type of work and that experience that really clicks with you, because I know a lot of myself, I don't like heights, and I know that there's a lot of there's a lot of different pitches and stuff, but what specifically was it that was like, man, this is what I need to be doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know, something about being on a roof and being up there in the wind and seeing the landscape just really excites me. And my wife, she always, and my kids now, they have this joke that I just really enjoy dangling my feet from a roof. And yeah, it's peaceful up there. You can feel the wind, and you don't get the noise of congestion down below on the street kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know, I just find it to be peaceful, and I realize, yeah, I like that more so than being inside of a house on my knees working on baseboard or building cabinets, things like that. So I really enjoy being outside.
That's interesting. We always talk about finding what it is that we enjoy doing, but I think, to your point, part of that finding it is also finding that inner peace while you're on the job. And if that's something you enjoy doing, right? To me, it's kind of no different than when we're up at the lake cabin and I get to go sit down on the dock and dangle my feet over the dock, and it's just a quiet morning. And so just different,
exactly.
different environment. So do you do a lot of residential stuff, or do you focus more on commercial buildings, or do you do kind of a mix of both?
Mainly residential. Yeah. Slowly getting into some commercial properties. We did do, I guess, a steel siding project on a commercial property in Stillwater last year. And just looking for more opportunities to get into the commercial space. But yeah, 95% of the work is residential right now.
And so is that a lot of insurance stuff, or is that just, or are you finding it more, what's the word I want to use? Just kind of retail?
Most of it has been insurance related, especially since the hailstorms that came through in August of last year. But up until then, it was mainly retail at that point, smaller projects. We did have a couple of retail metal roof jobs. But yeah, the rest of it has been more insurance related.
Okay.
second half of the
So
year.
what I know you can do shingles, you can do, the metal roofing. Like what was it that made you go towards the metal versus the traditional shingle style?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's the metal roofing, depending on the metal roof, there's a lot of different options out there. And usually when I talk about metal roof, people think of a barn roof or the metal roof you get at Menards that you screw down onto a shed and you see all those exposed screws. And that's not what we're after. That's what we install as well. But premium metal roofs, especially the metal shingles, it's a higher quality product. And the thing that fascinates me most about that, which wanted me to start pursuing it more, was the fact that the metal roof shingles are designed in such a way to make the roof more watertight, whereas asphalt shingles, they only seal on one side,
Oh,
and you can still get water penetration under the shingles through the other three sides. Whereas metal roof shingles, they interlock with each other on four sides, and even all the custom flashing on the walls and on the roof, it's all made to interlock with each other, so water can't get under those shingles. And so yeah, I think it's just um, the higher quality aspect of metal roof shingles, and it seems like it's more of the finished carpentry of the roof industry.
gotcha.
And so I like it. I like the finer details. I like things that actually work well, and they're designed to work well and designed with a purpose, and that's what metal roofs are. So
Okay. Interesting. I think you're right. We all have kind of when I drive around, I live out in a little town of 1,400 people out in rural Minnesota. And when I drive around and see the metal roofs, it is usually a lot of those like stuff that you see at Menards, right? They got
yeah.
the oh my gosh, the pop socket stuff, rivets in there. And it just I've always looked at it and been like, I don't, like I don't know if I could do that in my house. But then when I drive up into the cities, it's like my brother, he lives out in Mound, and when you're on Lake Minnetonka, you get a lot more upscale houses. And I've seen a lot of houses now all of a sudden, they may have some traditional shingles, but then they've got accent stuff that's either in like bronze, copper, and those look really sleek. I haven't personally seen any of the actual like metal shingles in person yet. It's definitely something I'd like to check out sometime because especially Minnesota, the idea of having like a truly finished roof that almost just protects itself
Right.
is kind of an interesting thought to me because we got ice dams and all that kind of stuff that our shingles always get wrecked. It seems like after a long winter. This year hasn't been so bad.
Yeah.
So you like the small detail work, you like the cleaner work. Was it always that way for you while you were growing up, or like what kind of led you into this type of like industry? What led you to,
Mm,
through high school and growing up going, man, I really like working with my hands?
yeah, I don't know. I guess I grew up, taking radios apart and trying to figure out how things work and trying to put them back together to make sure they still work. And yeah, I also enjoy art and being creative and designing new things. But I also enjoy cars. So like after high school, I was going to pursue an art career, but I decided to pursue automotive technology, and so I became a mechanic
Okay.
and a mechanic for a while, and then a service writer at a couple of busy dealerships, and then it was actually kind of which I actually enjoyed the mechanic part, taking things apart, but when you're under such pressure, I didn't really like being under high pressure in the mechanic world, so I was looking for something else, and then I actually so I'm originally from Colorado, and I actually had an opportunity to move out to Iowa and work with my uncle on his farm, which really excited me to work outside and work with my hands on the farm. But we ended up staying in Colorado, and then I started working with my father-in-law in the carpentry side of things. And I didn't know how to read a tape measure. I didn't know what a 16th of an inch was, and I just found out through the first year was pretty tough trying to get the hang of things and
Yes.
grasp of finished carpentry work. And but after that, it just clicked, and I found out that I enjoyed creating things. A lot of times it's just installing cabinets, but you're creating a a beautiful place with the end product, and or designing wine cabinets and custom bookcases and things like that. It was always a lot of fun. It was challenging, and I do enjoy challenges. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, um, I think the carpentry side of things really, I started really to focus on details and noticing really tiny, minuscule details in woodwork. And I don't know, if something didn't look right, I'd have to keep changing it. And um, so, yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably where it was mainly birthed, was the carpentry side. And I'm
Yeah.
not real sure why, but I just found out I really enjoy details, and I like things that look good. So,
Well, it sounds to me like you were able to find a way to match up your artistic side with a way to really bring it to an impactful part of life for people, right? Like,
that's good.
you know, I really, when I talk to a lot of, different people and different business owners, one of the things I truly appreciate about a lot of, guys that are in your type of field or landscaping or hardscape is it's the fine details and the creative touch that you guys kind of put, that's your own unique kind of signature look and feel to things that isn't,
Mhm.
that you lose when you do just like industrial stuff. So when I took a year off of college because I still don't know why I ever went back, because college really hasn't been great for me. But when I took a year off, I worked at Supreme, cabinetry making company, and they do like the whole, like, we're an upscale, and they do make good cabinets. But when I would look at our finished products and houses, and then there's a friend of mine, his uncle does like just handcrafted cabinets, right? So I would see our finished product, and then I'd go see like his in their house, and I'm like, man, that's a difference that
Mhm.
you can't replicate in a factory. And so that's really cool that you do that, and we're able to find that kind of combination of the two, right? So
Right.
automotive's fun, but you're right. It's the high pressure. I grew up in a dealership world through my sales career, and then as a GSM and stuff for a Chevy dealer. And you try to keep those guys content, but yeah, you do gotta push, and that's a different environment than when you're
Right.
running your own business. So um what is you've had a lot of different jobs. When you look back, like, what are a couple of your favorite jobs that you've done? And, you know, were you able to kind of design a unique area or help a customer kind of design a cool looking, in your case now, like a roof kind of feature with accents and stuff, and just talk about that a little bit, because I think that gets overlooked as well as the design aspect that goes into these things.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I had one client last year in Lake Elmo where she actually researched metal roofs. She knew she wanted a metal roof because they're long lasting, but she didn't really know what kind. And so I brought a bunch of different samples and um, my iPad, and went through a lot of different ideas and in different color options, and used a 3D model to help her kind of decide what she thought would look best on her home. And so we chose this evergreen color metal roof shingle system. And it's hard to tell from a 3D rendering what it'll exactly look like, um but yeah, the end result was phenomenal, and she was extremely happy with it, and all of her neighbors have stopped by to compliment on it. And yeah, it was a great feeling. She was super excited, and it's when it's all finished and buttoned up, it looks fantastic. And so yeah, that's one of them. Another one was a siding project last year as well, just taking same thing, going through 3D renderings with different styles of siding. And this client knew that he wanted something that was going to last and be better than vinyl siding pretty much.
Yeah.
And so just trying to figure out how to remove the old early 80s cedar siding that was rotting out, and figure out different styles. So we went through different options with lap siding, board and batten siding, shake siding, and different trim styles and trim colors. And And once we got the design aspect, what we thought on this 3D rendering, the different sections of the house, what we felt looked the best as far as design wise. And we went to colors to figure out what colors we liked and what colors he liked. And yeah, it came to a final product, and yeah, it looks amazing, and it's the best looking house in the neighborhood now. So turning an early 80s home into something that's pretty modern and nicer looking than it used to be. It's pretty exciting to go through a process with that with the homeowner, and especially when they're happy with the final product, for sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because we just recited our house. Let's see now, it would have been, we just finished it at the start of last of 23, and we had started it in 20. I had started looking for stuff in 21 when everything was just expensive.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me though is like you can look at all the samples that you want in a small piece, and we went with like the IBF board, so just a little bit thicker,
Yeah.
from vinyl. And what was interesting to me was the color that we had saw in the samples, and then like the smaller boards, when it got put onto the house, like it turned out even better, I thought, than what it looked like on the boards. Like we thought it would be more of a gray, and it's really kind of like it's truly like a bronze kind of color when it's all put together. So like
Yeah.
helping people understand that is such a intricate part of, I think, your guys' job, because our contractor who did a really good job of just going, it's going to look a little different than this when it gets put onto your entire house. And so
Mhm.
he was really good at when he put like a side on to have us come and look and go, is this okay? Because if it's not, now is the time to say no, and we can still, salvage this project. So that aspect of it is a really important piece of it. So like the relationship part that you forge with your customers, right?
Right.
You found that after working with your customers, is the majority of your business then like referral based, and you're getting referred? Because obviously if you have a nice house in the neighborhood, everybody's like, ooh, like who did that? Like, so are you seeing that your customers are, referring you to other customers in your area
Oh
on
yeah.
top of like the quality of your work attracts people as well? Like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'd say 90% of our business is referral based from previous clients and from clients that have seen my finished carpentry skills over the past 10 years here, and yeah, building custom cabinets for their bathrooms, and then they want us to come out and work on their exterior side now. So yeah, a lot of it has just been referral based from doing quality work for them in the past. Um and even with roof jobs, a lot of referral from making sure our job sites are cleaned up, we show up on time, get things done on time. I work with the insurance companies really closely, and I focus a lot of my attention on making sure the client understands the whole insurance process. It can be a very confusing process, and even a lot of other contractors, they don't fully understand the whole insurance process, and so it is very confusing. And I've been involved with it for 11 years now, and there's a certain finesse that goes along with it, and
There is.
so yeah, I've even received a lot of referrals from folks that have just been most appreciative of how I explain the whole process and work with them through the whole process. And so yeah, that's generated business as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other like 10% is, I guess, referrals from networking groups and referrals from other trade partners, from insulation companies that I work with, or electricians and plumbers that I've worked with in the past. They'll send me referrals too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that little network of people that you build up, as I've kind of done, my business now, and I'm getting like all these relationships with different industries and different people and different, services and sources and all that kind of stuff. It's fun to me to
Mhm.
be able to work with a client and then provide them with good value by referring them somebody that I know does quality work, because it's hard sometimes as a consumer to, look for a job, have somebody come and quote it, and you don't always know if it's the right person that you're going with. And I always say, if you're always going for the lowest price, it's probably not the right person for the job. A lot of the time, not always, just depends. But price dictates quality a lot, because it, like what you said before, it is art, in a lot of
Yeah.
senses. What are some things that you're seeing in the industry right now that are, inspiring hope for you for the future, but also kind of like frustrating you, like that you got to jump through, or hurdles that you're seeing coming up, or just, bad practices that are taking place?
Yeah, I guess I'm sure this would be surprising to a lot of people, but I think the stricter stance that insurance companies are taking towards roof claims, um, that does excite me, just because I know it's been such a game for a long time for a lot of storm chasers to try and get roofs bought with such minimal damage, and it doesn't really need to be, pushed. And so it's kind of dug us into a big hole where insurance companies are going bankrupt, and a lot of them are closing out and not insuring properties. So the fact that insurance companies are taking a stricter stance, it's going to weed out a lot of these other contractors that are just in it to try and push roof replacements when they don't need to. And so I like to be here for people that actually need roof replacements and actually need services. And if someone has minimal damage on the roof, I'm going to be upfront about that and be like, you do have some damage, but you can try and pursue it, but you don't have to. We can wait another year, see how it goes. That's kind of my approach. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, insurance premiums are going up, which is not good, but at the same time, everything's going up. And so it's just got to kind of roll with it. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, in a way it does
Oh, it
excite
does.
me. And yeah,
It does, because
getting
you're
it.
right.
Yeah.
So I've got a partnership. I don't own a huge part of the company, but this was just for making connections. A buddy of mine has a company down in Texas, roofing company, roofing and exterior, and he thinks along the same way that you do, is that going more retail and having higher deductibles on roofs from insurance companies is going to help in a lot of ways. One of those is going to help with the quality of contractor that's still doing the jobs, because you are going to eliminate a lot of those storm chasers that are out there that I think carry a bad reputation. So,
Right.
so, so that's an interesting take on that side of things, because I think a lot of people spin that in a bad direction, and I agree with you. I don't think it is, and we're seeing insurance companies tighten up across the board, even in
Yeah.
automotive and stuff too, which isn't bad, right?
Right.
Just means they're understanding they need to protect themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, what are some trends that you're seeing, as far as like workers and hiring? Are you having a hard time finding good quality workers, or are you finding that to be kind of easy because you've got a good culture and people are seeking you out? Like, what's your stance on that? Because I've seen both sides of that coin.
Yeah, it's been difficult for the past few years trying to find some labor help for sure. Um, finding someone that is willing to learn and willing to take the time to learn. Um, so yeah, I did have a guy working with me last year, and he had a great work ethic, a young guy, and he said he wanted to learn and be better with quality work. And then, like after 8 months, all the quality started digressing, and it was just causing a lot more issues. And his he just wasn't really interested in doing better quality anymore. So, and I've had another subcontractor before tell me that they're only interested in doing B average work and not A quality work. And I'm like, oh well, this partnership ain't gonna work then. So
Yeah.
it's been a challenge to find people uh, that are willing to put forth the effort to do a quality work to get paid well in the end. Everyone, I think that's the hard part, as well as just the payment. People want to make a lot of money right away without going through the proper stages to get there. And I started, even with 4 years of carpentry experience myself, working for a subcontractor that paid me $22 an hour to start,
Yeah.
10 years ago. And right now that's not much higher than minimum wage. So
Yeah.
it's just everyone's got to start somewhere, and I think it's been challenging that a lot of folks aren't willing to start in the lower spots to get to the higher spots down the road. So,
Yep.
um, so yeah, I think that's one of the trends. I think with that the economy has kind of turned around a little bit, and the more severity of the storms that are coming across nationwide. A trend is that insurance companies are struggling and they're becoming more difficult to work with, and in the end, part of it's a good thing and part of it's kind of a downfall, that they're becoming more difficult to work with, and it might take 6 to 8 weeks to hear back on an estimate for approval, and in the meantime, we're waiting on, we've got a damaged roof with a tarp on it, kind of thing. So it can be challenging, but I'm trying to think of another trend, but I think that's all I can think of right now.
That's all right. I mean, that's, those are definitely trends that I'm seeing across the board. So we got just, a couple of minutes left here, but I want you to just let everybody know if they're, listening to this, and what area do you cover? Because this is going to go hopefully nationwide. And hopefully, the stories that are told in this, and the information that's shared from some of the business owners, like, what I truly want to see happen is inspire some of these younger generations that are coming up here to understand this level of, business, and see that people are doing really good jobs and having really good careers, and, making good lives for themselves. But you got to put the work in and really be okay with that for a while for it to really pay off. So if you just want to give a brief, like, what area do you cover, and then how do people reach you if they want to have your services? And that would be great.
Yeah. We're licensed in Minnesota statewide. We generally stay around the Twin Cities area and expanding suburbs. We'll go down to Owatonna, Faribault. We've done a couple projects in Crosby, which is like 2.5 hours away. We'll pretty much travel anywhere, just as long as, if it's a small job, we'll stick around the cities, but we're also licensed in Wisconsin as well, and stay more towards the west side of Wisconsin. And if you'd like to reach me, you can reach out via email or even text, or phone call. This rings straight through to my cell phone. My phone number is 952-393-2260, or justin@theexpertcompany.net. Two easiest ways, or just go onto the website and I've got a contact form. You can fill that out and it goes right to my phone. So
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate you jumping on today and taking time to join us and kind of share what you do, and share some of your passions.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to wrap that up here for today, folks. Thank you for listening. Roll Up and Roll Out. This is another podcast. Blue collar business owners that are proving that you don't always need to have a GED if you got your GSD. Thanks. Have a great day.
Right.